On this episode of Grassroots Garage, we have Ed's 1959 Ford F100.
Welcome to Grassroots Garage. Today I've got Ed. Ed, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for yours.
Mate, tell us about your car.
This is a 1959 Ford F100, commonly known in America as the fridge model.
The fridge model, I like that.
Not as popular as the 55, 56s, but you know, it's all a matter of personal taste, I guess. Yeah, it's a 460 big block. It's got a Scat stroker in it. When we got the engine block from the guy in Queensland who's a drag racer, he recommended putting Trickflow heads in it. This caused us all sorts of problems because if you go with Trickflow, then it follows that you can't use any of the bits that were on the original engine. Mm-hmm. So we had to go with a Trickflow tunnel ram.
Yep.
We had to go with a Trickflow set of rockers. Mm-hmm. We had to go with Trickflow rocker covers. And on it went.
It locked you in.
It locked us in.
Yeah. As soon as you bring it out in the sunlight, you can see that custom colour come out.
Yep. It's like Coke,
isn't it? These seats are nice, aren't they?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The car was purchased from a gentleman that I'd bought a car from previously. He'd sent me a Mustang, which was a fastback, 66 fastback, and it was in beautiful condition. It was really a nice car. And I sort of said, okay, you're running around in this F100. Do you want to sell it? And he said, yeah, it's for sale. Anyway, we haggled a bit, and he told me that it was a show truck and this and that, and the engine had done virtually no miles. And we agreed a price and I brought it into Australia, imported it into Australia. And this has been now a work in progress for 10 years. And we've virtually stripped the thing back to a bare chassis and boxed the chassis and fixed all the bits and pieces that the Americans do and get away with.
Yes.
We've enhanced it in various ways, made it safer to drive, etc., to the extent now where it's got a full engineering certificate on it.
Nice. Yeah, very good.
Okay, hence the registration.
Yeah, now it's registered, which we like.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
So this Trickflow, where are they? They're an American mob?
They're an American mob. They build stuff for drag races.
Nice. Yeah.
Pulling trucks, mud pluggers, all this sort of thing.
It's quite smart of this Trickflow, because once they've locked you in, they don't want you using aftermarket anything. They want you using their gear, so that if you blow your motor up, well, you can't blow your motor up. You put cheap, well, you said even the rockers and everything had to be, do you know what I mean? So you don't use dodgy rockers and then you go, bloody Trickflow, it was a crap motor. You know what I mean? Like, it locks you in.
If you use any other rockers, right, they won't fit in ordinary covers.
Ah.
So
no good.
We had to get Trickflow rockers. This has been taking 10 years. I always wanted this black engine.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was 8 years ago. I decided I'd go black. Okay, so we got a March pulley system, MSD ignition, with a programmable box which sits under the seat, the passenger seat.
Okay.
So most of the electrics go back to the passenger seat on this car.
All right, got ya. Yeah.
Go back under the passenger seat, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got 2 thermo fans. That's a Champion radiator there. GM style booster with a GM style. I'm not sure what the make is. Catch cans for the breathers. And it's also air conditioned as well.
Yeah, so that's an aftermarket bolt-on system, is it, to run all the pulleys?
To run all the pulleys. It comes with the air conditioning compressor, it comes with the alternator, and also the power steering pump.
Yes, nice. And it's to fit this 460 motor.
Yep, totally. The wheels are 15 inch in the back and 17 inch in the front. And they've still got the original drum brakes on them. The reason I kept the drum brakes is because I like a handbrake.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I got 17s in the front, you can't get a decent disc brake to fit inside a 15-inch wheel.
Yeah, and the Willwoods, yeah, very nice.
They're 6-piston Willwoods. Okay. And the wheels are by a company called Budnik, B-U-D-N-I-K.
Yeah.
Rear end's 9 inch as usual.
Yeah.
9 inch. Strange.
Yeah. Very nice. So that's just a custom tank.
Yep.
Just a bolt-on thing. Beautiful. Yep.
With a 200 gallon per hour pump.
200 gallons per hour.
I think it's the biggest one they make.
Yeah.
There's a box under there for tools or whatever you want to put it, and the other side is the battery.
Oh yeah, nice. Good spot for it.
And I hate dark cars with alloy plate, so I had all the plate and it.
Is that the factory floor height?
When you buy a stock one of these, there's actually like a step that goes in front of you.
Right.
But they've cut that out. I decided that I was going to have something comfortable. So these are electric Recaros. They've got heating and cooling in them. Okay.
I am jealous of these seats, I've got to tell you.
They're recovered in perforated leather, German leather, imported
you can smell
in.
it, can't you?
Yep.
You can smell it.
These are high-end, I think, BMW seats or leather.
Mate, that is with the buttons. Isn't that great?
Turn that.
Absolutely love that.
So
That is
they
awesome.
all work backwards and forwards, heated, ventilated, so on.
Nice.
So
So what percentage of time, like stereos on from time to time, or you mostly got it off listening to the sound of the motor?
Depends who's in the car with me.
Yeah.
If my wife's in here, it's the stereo.
Got ya.
Okay.
Yeah.
One feature about this is the roof. Alcantara.
Wow. Yeah.
The normal roof in these is cardboard, painted black. This is a complete fiberglass piece, 2 pieces.
Yeah.
That's custom made for this and then covered in Alcantara.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, look at that. Wow. It's like a modern touch.
Yep.
Very nice.
And it's an ID tilt.
Yep.
Because I'm getting old.
You and me both. You and me both.
Underneath that console is a C6, but it's fully manualised.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's got we don't know what the stall is. We think it's about 3,500 RPM stallie in it, and a custom glove box which you're leaning on at the moment.
Yep. Here it is, and the key down here is a nice little touch as well, isn't it? I like that.
And we got power windows both sides.
So the third, the clutch rest. This is one of those moments where I need to golly around. I'm talking about the floor-mounted high beam switch there, commonly known as a dip switch, which I'd never seen before, obviously.
Yes, it's what we used to drive.
Explain.
Instead of having a lever on here which you could flash your lights and turn your high beam on and off, you use that. So when you're driving along and you've got full high beam on, you just press that, and it brings it back to low beam. Press it again, high beam.
You learn something new every day, don't you? Don't you learn something new? I love that.
The other thing is I hate when you got power windows, when you got these cables across. So these are just little
contact
buttons.
Points. Yeah.
The contact. The only problem with that is if you got the door open, you can't drop the window. Door cards are leather as well.
Yeah, they're very nice, and the matching perforated red on the doors there. Yeah, that's the one thing people watching this won't be able to do is get the smell of that nice. It's the European sports car smell, isn't it? The Ferrari smell, you know.
Yep, absolutely. And you've got 4 seat belts.
Retractables, yeah. I mean, this would have come with a bench seat, maybe a lap sash, if anything. Nothing.
59, no
belts.
No belts. Nah, just a bench seat.
They died like real men, eh? Back in the...
Stabbed by the steering wheel.
Stabbed by... Exactly. Beautiful. Yeah. So let's go right back to the very start. Tell us about your first car.
My first car was, believe it or not, a 1959 Volkswagen Beetle that I bought from my father because he wanted to buy a Mini. He bought one of the first Minis that came to Australia, I think in 1964. Okay, and he sold it to me, I think, for $200 or £200. I sort of stuck some wider wheels on the back and tyres, and this was in the days when they were changing over from ordinary tyres like cross-ply tyres to radials.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So putting a set of radials on with bigger wheels and that, it still cocked the wheel when you went around corners too fast. I can remember one day going around a corner in Paddington, and it was like a little roundabout, and it was very, very raining, and I wasn't doing any more than 20 k's an hour, and the bloody end went. So someone must have dropped them off, but that was Volkswagens in those days.
Yeah. What are some memorable cars you've owned over the years?
Porsches.
Yeah.
I've owned a couple of. I've owned 3 Porsches actually: a 944 Turbo, a 996 Cabriolet, which was a lovely car for cruising. Yeah. And the last one I owned was a GT3, a 997 GT3, a 2008 model. Wow. The reason I got out of Porsches was you can't use them every day. I was spending a heap of money and driving 6,000 k's a year in it, and it was just madness. So then I started into AMGs. Okay,
because they're more of a dailyable.
Well, I was a real estate agent in my past life. It was something I could drive every day. I could tootle along cruising, or I could,
go to the track and definitely not.
and the noise didn't, you know, the noise wasn't bad either. The noise wasn't bad coming out the back.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
So
What AMG was it?
Well, I had two. I had a coupe, and then I bought the last of the naturally aspirated cars, which was an edition 507 or 507, but it was a station wagon.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So it was something a little different, and it didn't affect the car at all. It being a station wagon, it still went the same, and it was very usable because, you know, my wife's got cats, so it was easy to stick all the bloody cats and cages and all the rest in the back and so on and so forth. So yeah, but they you know, I've always previously been more into European cars, but a friend of mine took me for a ride in his Mustang one day, and after that I started buying American cars. Just because I think that period in time between probably the late 50s up to 1970 was the period when American cars were, design-wise, some of the best-looking cars going. Whether it was the fact that they were going to the moon with rocket ships, or whether they were just inventing the jet aeroplane, or I don't know. They just did something about you know, they made them look like, you know, fins and all sorts of things, and it just grabbed me. The Thunderbird I had was a 66. And they used to advertise it as being in a cockpit, round little dials, a speedometer which was like a thermometer. So the faster you went, it went redder.
Nice, I like
in
that.
a straight line.
Yeah.
You know, a console up the side of you. You had an overhead console as well, which was really unusual for 1966. Okay, bucket seats, which were like an aircraft bucket seats. Not the passengers, but the pilots.
Pilot seats,
and all this sort of thing. And and when you looked at it, you know, it was low to the ground. It hugged the road, or it appeared to hug the road. Handling was terrible, but it was, you know, for a car, it was wonderful. I just didn't, you know, and yeah, and that's what got me into all these things, and that's why I'm poor.
Speaking of money. If I give you an unlimited budget, you got unlimited. Would you change anything on the truck?
The only thing I'd change on it was probably I'd have it resprayed.
Okay. Yeah.
A custom colour is a difficult one unless you've got a good painter, and they're hard to find nowadays. Very hard to find, and it's very hard if you get a little scratch or something like that to get it matched, because they have to use a spectroscope. But having said that, I don't think so. I mean, look, you can put a blower on it. Okay. I think that's overkill.
And so we've got the truck, and we've kept that unlimited budget. You can have anything you want. What cars would you have in your shed parked next to this?
I'm fairly fortunate. I do have a couple of other cars. I have a 70 Boss Mustang. I have a 66 Thunderbird convertible under restoration at the moment in Melbourne. My daily drive is a Range Rover Sport.
Nice car, yeah.
I would probably go with an AMG C63 or an E63, or what's piqued my interest lately is the Alfa Romeo Giulia.
Yes.
Okay, with the V6, which is 6 cylinders off of Ferrari V8. Yes, I could possibly go with one of those.
So that's it for Ed's beautiful truck. Ed, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.